Start small in an area that challenges you to grow in a small capacity first, and look at what self-doubts you have. And the surefire way is, when in doubt, take action. Because what that does is it helps you kind of gradually get out of those areas of self-doubt, which is preventing you from taking action.
Gradual exposure. Slowly starting to introduce yourself into these new things, slowly taking new action, slowly getting into bigger and bigger arenas, and giving yourself the credit when you do. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
And it's Emilia.
Welcome to another episode of Evolve Ventures, where we are helping growth-minded humans evolve by breaking one limiting belief at a time. We hope you enjoyed the last episode, number 240, the difference between arrogance and confidence. For today, 241, Motivation Monday, 3 steps to feel more confident. If you listened to the last episode, actually, if you haven't listened to the last episode yet, go listen to that one first, because we really dove into what is the differences that make arrogance versus confidence, and what are some of the stigmas around confidence that make people kind of afraid of it. We talked about how a lot of people fear confidence and fear being around confident people because of the limiting beliefs and the negative emotions and associations that come up. So I really believe that that one should be listened to first, so that you're in a good headspace to listen to this one. And so you can take in what we're going to talk about and how to actually become more confident from an aligned and holistic place. So what we have prepared are 3 surefire tactics that we've both used in our personal lives. And I really have put in a ton of work around this, because I wasn't someone who used to be confident, and I've developed into somebody who is. So tools and tactics that we've used that have allowed us to become the, empowered, confident women that we are. And yes, you can do this if you're a man too. This isn't just for women. This is for everybody, all genders, all people. So let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Yeah. So I actually have a memory that just came up that I want to jazz for this one. So for those of you who know me, you know that I have gone to a school where I had competed in the D1 bracket. So I was a D1 sailor growing up. I went to Providence College, and not really growing up, but just in my college years. So with that said, why I mention that is because when we talk about confidence, I really actually went to this memory, because I did exactly this first step, surefire tactic and surefire way. Now, growing up, I was always told, by my father, that if you learn how to sail, it's a great analogy for life, because between the wind, between the setting your sail, between all that stuff, it's a really beautiful analogy for life. And I would agree with that. Absolutely. However, I didn't really have much awareness from a skill level of how to actually sail, not to mention competitively. But yet, as soon as I got into college, that was one of the programs that I joined. And so I wanted to sail competitively, D1 bracket. So we competed with schools like Harvard, like MIT, like all the D1 really hardcore racing schools. And being and not knowing how to really do that, obviously, you can imagine little Emilia, freshman Emilia, was like, how the heck are we going to get this done? Right? So what did I do? If I didn't know how to do what getting in a boat with really strong winds at all different temperatures, and actually being at risk, if the boom hits your head, you dunk into the water and you could drown, right? How do I avoid not dying? And this is a great analogy for life. How do I actually gain more confidence in an arena that I don't currently have a good level of confidence in? That was me. And so what did I do? I wanted to be one of the best sailors that ever showed up. And so I actually made sure that I picked out who was the best person from a skill level on the sailing team. And he was older. His name was Tristan, and he kind of took me underneath his wing. And so I surrounded myself with people that were more confident in their actual skill level that I wanted to develop. Now, Tristan became my skipper, what's called a skipper, and I was the crew. two-person sailing competitive racing boat. And by having him in my corner, I got to learn from him. Now, other people had thought was really arrogant, but I knew that he had a level of confidence about him that people just didn't understand. And so when I got under his wing and we started sailing together, my skill level jumped up so much quicker than anyone else's. And it was like unheard of at that time. And it's because of the fact that I had the humility to get around and pull people around me that were more confident than I was in that specific arena. And that not only allowed my skill level to grow, but in tandem did my confidence grow.
Yeah. We've talked about this time and time and time again, and we could go into the clinical, data and research backing this, but I don't want to bore you with the details. There is so much evidence to suggest that the people you spend your time with are the primary determinant of who you become. They are the primary factor of, do you become a confident, empowered, courageous, bold, daring human being, or do you stay stuck in the patterns that you're in? Do you actually revert and become a lesser version of yourself? And if you're listening to this show, that is not you, because you're somebody who is seeking more. You're somebody who's seeking guidance and seeking wisdom and seeking, knowledge to be able to grow and to evolve. So the people you surround yourself with are a humongous factor in who you become. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, the only reason I am the woman that I am right now, and why I'm going to be the extraordinary woman I'm going to be, is because of who I spend my time with, who I've allowed to kind of like infiltrate my mind and my brain, and, the lessons that I've learned from them. And this ties into number 2, do more things that foster growth. This is the number. So we've done an episode on this about how to build self-efficacy. And these are the number 1 and the number 2 things that allow you to become, more confident and self-efficacious. Surrounding yourself with people who are already doing it, and then learning from them and then taking action. So before, when I didn't have any sense of confidence, Alan and I, Emilia's partner, he was my friend and mentor. I introduced them, they got together, so on and so forth. He and I would go to photo shoots together because he used to do fitness modeling. And back in the day, I wanted to be a fitness model, and I was building my way up to that. So we would go do photo shoots together. And that eventually turned into him teaching me, business, him teaching me personal development and peak performance. And then Emilia doing the same thing, her teaching me, personal development and business and empowerment and confidence. And then me being in school, learning and going above and beyond any of my classmates, learning on my own accord. I spent hours and hours every single day learning, doing things that allowed me to become more, putting myself in uncomfortable situations to be able to build that confidence, coming here every single week, stepping on the mic and recording episodes. I do so much to build myself and to grow. And there's a level of humility that has to be had in that, which is what we talked about in the last episode. If you can't allow yourself to fail, if you can't allow yourself to be wrong, if you cannot look at your flaws, you cannot grow and you cannot become confident. And so having really great people in your life to build you up, to let you see that failure and insecurities and areas of weaknesses, they're not bad. They are actually the perfect catalyst for growth.
The biggest antidote to, or not antidote, I would say villain to confidence is self-doubt. And so for number 2, the actual do more things that foster growth, put yourself in the arenas, and you can build up gradually to like how much that is growth for you, right? But like Measure your levels of self-doubt, because if you're in an arena that you have overwhelming thoughts that are flooding you of self-doubt, maybe that's a little too much for you right now. Start small in an area that challenges you to grow in a small capacity first, and look at what self-doubts you have. And the surefire way is, when in doubt, take action. Because what that does is it helps you kind of gradually get out of those areas of self-doubt, which is preventing you from taking action, which is preventing from you actually doing anything different, which is going to build that self-efficacy, that courageous moment when you step outside of your comfort zone and you take action. That brings you to step number 3, which is actually self-assign that and bring what you did, whatever it is, whether it's you had a new thought, whether you took a new action, whether you actually reached out to someone and decided to befriend them and say hey, I would love your guidance. I would love your coaching. I would love to do therapy with you, whatever it is, right? You can self-assign that back to you and essentially give yourself that pat on the back, which is so important. So few people do this. And that's why we get stuck in a narrative of, I'm not a confident person. It's well, you didn't bring what you just did, which is new action, new growth, or reaching out to a new person that helps you grow. And you didn't bring that back in and said, I did that. I did that for me, which is something we've talked about in other episodes and around the concept of self-efficacy, which is absolute step number 3 to help build more confidence within you.
You have to give yourself the credit where it's due. You cannot grow by consistently bashing yourself. This is why shame is not adaptive. You cannot shame yourself into confidence. You cannot shame yourself and berate yourself into growth. It doesn't work. You have to give yourself credit, even for the very small things that you might think are insignificant. So on days where I'm really not feeling it, I will give myself credit literally for getting out of bed. I will give myself credit for waking up and going and doing my walk because I don't want to, I don't feel like it. When you can give yourself credit for those little things, it boosts that sense of connection with yourself, the love and the pride and the confidence that you have in yourself, to where when you start building and doing some of the bigger things, right? Because we promote gradual exposure, not flooding. So in psychology, there's 2 ways of getting into something new. You can either flood, which is you just dive right in head first into the deep end, which is not good for 99.9% of the people. That works for Emilia. Emilia's really good at that. 99.9% of people cannot do that. I don't do that because it doesn't work for me. Gradual exposure. Slowly starting to introduce yourself into these new things, slowly taking new action, slowly getting into bigger and bigger arenas, and giving yourself the credit when you do. So to sum this up and to wrap this up, number 1, surround yourself with people who build you up and help you grow. Number 2, do more things that foster growth. And number 3, give yourself credit when you actually make steps regardless of how small they are. My friend, what is your episode suggestion?
My episode suggestion for our listeners is number 208. What are limiting beliefs and how can we stop them? I have a client in mind right now that I'm so freaking proud of, because as we look at these 3 steps of building self-confidence, though that wasn't necessarily the quote unquote goal, they have absolutely crushed it. They reached out and they said that I need support, I need help. And so they got a coach, and that was me. And Bianca, you were at the meeting initially when this had happened, and it has transitioned into a year plus journey of coaching on so many different holistic things. But what that has done is it was the new person in their life that they absolutely needed to help them build themselves up and recognize where their value points are, and bringing more awareness into that area of, okay, well, let's help take one additional step, gradual exposure to a new version of yourself, and do a little bit of a different thing that will help challenge you and push you outside of your comfort zone. And then on our coaching calls, he was just sharing with me last night a huge win in his leadership trajectory and how much his confidence has changed in a specific area. And I want to celebrate the heck out of those moments too, because if that was possible for someone like him who is in the later years of his life, if you will, and is moving forward in a completely different industry that doesn't like anyone to be confident and doesn't foster growth, is not growth oriented. If he can do that, so can all of our listeners. And it just makes me so, so happy that, this is something that, there's so much progress in for this person. So if you're listening to this, you'll know who you are. And that's my episode suggestion. What's yours?
84, the fastest way to recognize your worth. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope it brought so much value to you. If confidence is something that you are struggling with, if you want to be more confident, feel more confident, be your most empowered self, reach out to Emilia and I. We still have open spots for coaching and therapy under the Evolve Ventures therapy practice that we have and the coaching practice that we have. We've helped people really, really transform their lives. People just like you. So if we can help them, we absolutely can help you. So reach out and we will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.